Hi everyone, how are you all doing? Let me know what you guys have been reading this week. So today I thought that we could chat a little bit about Kindle and Kindle Unlimited and Kindle books. I absolutely love my Kindle. I got my Kindle back in November. I've got the Kindle Paperwhite and I absolutely love it. I do most of my reading on here. I'm a big fan of Kindle Unlimited, so today I want to talk about some of my recent Kindle Unlimited reads, and then I also want to talk you through some of my recent Kindle downloads that I've done for like 99p, because yeah, I've been very impressed with a lot of the variety and like bargains that you can get on the Kindle store. So first of all, let's talk about some of my recent Kindle Unlimited reads. So I'm going to start off with the Shepherd King series by Rachel Gillig. So this consists of two books, which is One Dark Window and Two Twisted Crowns. I'd heard so many good things about this series, so I read this kind of very end of Christmas over kind of New Year, and this is it's a dark gothic fantasy romance, I would say. Definitely on the darker side of things I've kind of read, and a very interesting magic system. So the magic system in this is to do with like cards which have powers. So this focuses on Elspeth and Raven, and they are basically joined together through circumstances, and they decide to go on a bit of a mission with other characters to try and find a full pack of these magic cards. And it is that journey, but Elspeth is harboring a massive secret of what's actually inside like her brain, and yeah, there's a lot of like twists and turns. I did enjoy the book, but I found it quite hard to get into. I also definitely feel like I'd seen a lot of hype online that it was like this really good like romance, and that there was like, I don't know, like really good spice and stuff. I personally thought it was a little bit of a letdown. I thought that the spice, like there wasn't much spice at all. So if you're not into spice, then you probably will quite like this. It was very much a kind of fade to black kind of vibe, if you know what I mean. And it was very, very mild. The romance was good once it kind of finally started to like heat up. Two Twisted Crowns was different in the fact that it had multi-point of views, which at first I was a bit like, I'm not really sure I care about these other characters. But I did find as I got through the book, I got more invested with a couple of the other side characters, and it was quite interesting that the romance was from them. And I think I actually preferred the romance in the second book than I did in the first book. But I'm not going to lie, these weren't my favourite to read. I found myself, especially in the second book, kind of like, not rushing, but kind of just wanting to get through it because I was a little bit bored in places, and I was a bit like, I'm just not overly invested in this story or the characters. So for me, it was okay. I'd give the books like a 4-star. They were good, and I feel like, you know, if you like the darker gothic kind of side of romance, like fantasy romance, you'll probably really like them. But for me, I definitely prefer like the lighter side. Next up is the Book of Azrael, which is the Gods and Monsters series. So this has 3 books in the series. You've got Book of Azrael, Throne of Broken Gods, and The Dawn of the Cursed Queen. Again, these are definitely darker fantasy romance, and I really, really struggled to get into the Book of Azrael, considering it is so well hyped up. I hadn't really seen people saying like how hard it was to get into. This is Gods and Monsters. It's called the Gods and Monsters series. But yeah, it was very different to what I'd been used to reading, and I was a bit like, I don't even know whether to like continue with this book. But I persevered, and I was really glad that I did, because the second half of the first book and the second half of the second book were so good, and they were like proper fantasy romance. The thing that kept me reading was the main characters. The female main character, Diana, she is a badass. She's not some damsel in distress. She is the monster. She is the morally grey one. So that was really interesting to find the female main character being that kind of person. We don't normally see that kind of role. And then the male main character, Sam Keel, he was a babe. He was very much like Reese, but he was a lot softer. And often he was the damsel in distress, which was really interesting. The first 2 books I did enjoy once I kind of got through the initial kind of first 200 pages, but I found the third book, it just felt like nothing happened. There was loads of repetitive spice. There'd been spice in the first 2 books, but I felt like it was really well done, and there was a lot of anticipation. But in the third book, it felt quite repetitive, and it was like, okay, guys, we get it. You're doing it. And it just, like I said, it just felt like nothing really much happened. And then Everything kind of happened at the end and it just felt a bit anticlimactic, ended on a cliffhanger. I probably will continue with the series to see what happens, but I'm not going to rush to read the next book. Serpent and the Wings of Night, The Crowns of Nyaxia, I don't know if I'm saying that right. That series is also on Kindle Unlimited, which is absolutely amazing. So there's currently 3 books within the series. There's also a novella as well called Six Scorched Roses, which I haven't actually read. So if you guys have read it, do let me know if you think it's good and you think I need to read it. But yeah, this series is absolutely brilliant. I've read book 1 and 2. The third book I haven't read just yet because it is focused on a different character and I felt like I wanted to kind of move on to something else, but I will go back to it. But the first 2 books were really, really good. I definitely enjoyed the first book more. This focuses on Araya and Rain. So Rain is a vampire, Araya is a human, but she has been brought up by a vampire king. And they are basically competing against one another and, well, lots of others in a deadly kind of trials games where there can only be one winner. So yes, it's a really, really interesting, fast-paced, easy to get into read. I loved the characters, the banter, the romance, the tension was absolutely incredible. Metal Slinger by Rachel Snyder is another really good fantasy romance Kindle Unlimited read. I think I've said this in my other videos, but this is just romantasy at its finest. I feel like the author is obviously a massive fan of romantasy because she has literally included every single romantasy trope that you can imagine and that we all absolutely eat up. So you have got enemies to lovers, you've got forced proximity, you have got there's only one bed, there's only one horse, etc, etc. Really good twists and turns. I had no idea what to expect from this going into it, but I really enjoyed it. I think I finished it in like 24 hours and it ends on a really massive like twist. So I'm really excited for book 2, which I think is coming out later this year. The Veiled Kingdom by Holly Renee. This is also a current 2-book series, but there is a third one coming out this year, I think, but these are also all on Kindle Unlimited. Now, if you liked Fourth Wing, I feel like you will really like this book. There's no dragons in Fourth Wing and there's not as much to it, but I feel like if you loved Xaden, if you loved the kind of enemies to lovers, if you liked the leader of like a rebellion and you like the spice, then honestly give this a go because Dacre is very much Xaden coded and I feel like it just felt very kind of Xaden Violet vibes. So yeah, I absolutely loved this book. It kind of felt a little bit like the femininity, like the feminism was leaving my body because I had such a great time reading this book. Now let's talk you through some of my recent 99p books. So I've recently downloaded This Cruel and Lovely by Stacia Stark. Heard a lot of good things about this on TikTok. I don't really know an awful lot about it, so let's have a look and see what it says. So the enchanting slow burn romantasy series for fans of Raven Kennedy, Kingdom of Lies, book 1. So yes, so the first book in a series full of addictive romance and political intrigue, the slow burn enemies to lovers. So yeah, I'm very excited to read this because I've heard really good things about it. So next up, we have got A Fire in the Sky. Now I'd seen this advertised on Instagram or Facebook, it'd come up and basically this just sounded so up my street. So listen to this. Do not miss the brand new sizzling enemies to lovers romantasy full of adventures, dragons and magic in 2024. So yeah, this seems like a nice short book. It's 336 pages. This is an epic romantasy with adventure, arranged marriage, spice, dragon and witches. I couldn't put it down. So yeah, that sounds bloody incredible. I cannot wait to read that. Dragons, magic, forced marriage, spice. Sounds epic. Got Fall of Ruin and Wrath by Jennifer L. Armentrout? Don't know how to say her name. I really want to get into some of her books. I also really want to read the From Blood and Ash series, which she's also written. But this is only 99p and I've heard a lot of good things about it. An epic, spicy romantasy from a mega best-selling author. So yeah, she lives by her intuition. He feeds on her pleasure. Yeah, I've read the first chapter of this already and it was really good. And then I decided that I wanted to do my Fourth Wing reread, so I left it behind, but I'm sure that I will come back to it at some point. But yeah, very excited to read this. And I'm excited to read more of her work. Let me know if you've read some of her book. Next up, we have Powerful by Lauren Roberts. This was only 99p the other day. So I have managed, I don't know how I've managed to do this, but over the past few months, I've managed to get Powerless, Powerful and Reckless all for 99p in the Kindle store when they've been on offer. So whenever I've seen them on offer, I've just downloaded them because I knew that I wanted to read them at some point. So yeah, so I'm absolutely chuffed that I've managed to get all the books for so cheap, and I cannot wait to read this series. I'm so excited. Let me know if you've read it. Final book is one that I actually downloaded for free. So on Boxing Day, they had loads and loads of, I think it was like the Stuff Your Kindle Day, where there's loads of like free books about. So I had a good little rummage and I downloaded Frost by C.N. Crawford. It's called the Frost and Nectar series, book 1. And it just was basically said it's a fae romance. I was like, I saw the word fae, I saw the word romance, and I thought, right, that sounds so up my street. So I downloaded it. I've got no idea what to expect, so I'm sure I'll read it at some point. But yeah, fae and romance, what's not to love? Let me know if you guys have read this. But yeah, I have been filling up my Kindle. I've got so many books on here. Like, I literally just download books, and yeah, I've got so many on here that I cannot wait to read. I'm so excited. Like, there's just not enough hours in the day, is there, to read all the books that I want to, but I'm really excited to kind of delve into some different ones once I finish my Fourth Wing Iron Flame Onyx Storm journey. But yeah, let me know if you guys have read any of these and what you'd recommend. And if you've got any Kindle Unlimited recommendations, do let me know. But yeah, I'll see you all very soon in my next video. Thanks for watching. Bye.